What's going on? I've kind of been on this the prodigal son, on the trail of the prodigal son. Uh, all right, it's prophesied that the northern kingdom would be cut off from Israel, and they would have no. They'd be cut off from their people. It's like in Deuteronomy. It's like part of the curses. If you do these things that are wrong, it said these people will be cut off from their people. So basically, in Hosea it states that like God's gonna, in order to go back and accept these prodigal children back, the other sons of Jacob, that he had to go and get himself killed and then come back and then take the people back. And it's part of prophecy that the northern kingdom, the lost children, got to come home, or at least be identified. And it says that it's for a king to conceal a matter, and for the wise to go figure the matter out. So it's like it's like so it's the prophecy that they basically would be taken and made slaves in a slave country or something. Then it says like, all right, let me think here. In it's like Leviticus, that a deer is one of the sacrifices that can be used in the feast days and the offerings in the tabernacle. And it's like, if you look at the Indians here, a lot of them of their a lot of their religious customs were they basically built a freaking like a little mobile tent. Like, but if you read about the tabernacle, that's what Israel used to do. Another thing in the Indians, there's that whole fry bread thing, and that's mentioned also in Leviticus. There's the fringes, that's mentioned in like Numbers or Leviticus. Let me think, what else am I seeing here? I just recently was listening to the Testament of the Patriarchs, and it talked about the deers and the eagles of Jacob. The Indians, what do they wear? They wear deer clothes and eagle feathers, and other feathers too. But eagle feathers is like is what they wore. In the Bible, it says, hide under the shadow of His wings. God will cover you with His feathers. He made badger skin clothes for Adam and Eve. Oh Jacob, how beautiful are thy tents. So it's like, look, it's okay to be cut off from your people. That means you forget your identity. So it's like the Indians, they didn't. It straight up says that they don't really know they don't remember where they came from exactly, but it says they had to travel east, and that goes to support this theory that I got, that the Indians must have came through Russia somehow. And it's like, either it almost seems like, look, like maybe the Asians were pressed up in next to the northern kingdom, and they were basically exiled to Assyria, which I think it's the bear that devours much flesh. It's one of these beasts described. I'm not sure if it's in Second Ezra and Daniel, but if you look at Daniel and Second Ezra's like side by side, like, and Revelations, and also the Song of Moses, you look at all these things together, and it lays out like the whole schematic, But I had to throw that out there, that um that this the prodigal son thing, and that these people will be cut off from their people. But it says that It's like even I seen in this video called Anishinaabe Natural Scientist, and the word uh, like Nabi in Hebrew means prophet. So I mean Anishinaabe. Like look, uh, see people read the Bible so much like from the King James, and they believe like in this old English kind of thing, but it's like no, the language was totally different from what we're reading. So it sounds totally different. So we don't really know because we're just ignorant. But it's like what other parts did I see that word that there is some overlappers, but oh yeah, it's also it says in Ezra's second Ezra's that these guys left captivity under the Assyrians, and what's weird is like I said, I think that's the bear. I could be wrong, but it was the bear in one of those prophecy books where it says the bear devour much flesh. First comes out like a freaking goat, and then comes out a bear, and then comes out a beast, iron teeth, and then the dragon. You know, I mean, but it's kind of weird because these guys have the what's it called man, I forgot where the frick I was going right there. Oh yeah, yeah. The bear totem is one of the. It means warriors. The warrior, like basically group in tribes that would be Bear Clan. You know, so that normally where you'd get your war chiefs from, but. And if you're, it's like just because some of the Israelites were conquered and enslaved, they probably made them mercenaries too. Like even in Egypt, a lot of the Israelites who left were actually mercenaries for Egypt as well. So that's one of the reasons why when they came out, they were fighting everyone, and it's like they had the God was giving them intelligence, supernatural intelligence, how to defeat the enemy. But these guys were already pretty good at war. And you got to think, dude. It's like here's another thing, dude. Look, Israel, the 12 tribes, the sons of Jacob, the descendants of Abraham. It's like it's an ethnically diverse group of people. So you can't look at any one race. It's a bunch of different races fall into the category of Israel. The real category of Israel, not the state of Israel, but Israel, which is a people, which is an ethnic group. It's even described as a race in the patriarchs, but maybe that's because of interpretation from during that, maybe when those books were translated, they used race in there because they like to promote this kind of this race banging mentality. And it was even in Israel as well that they really lynched and rejected one another, and like one tribe would be like, we don't really consider this tribe our brethren, really. We just tolerate them, but you know, and it's like they're always waiting and keeping a record of how to exile you. And it says also in the prodigal son, where the parable, it says that the son that was never lost is going to be salty towards the prodigal son. And we see this even now because people like don't want to receive this doctrine that just that some of the Indians here in America were definitely lost tribes of Israel, and actually they were called savages, and there was all this bad rap put on them. They're also they were exploited, and it was like since they were so tough, after they conquered them, they're used as a species of pauper, and they kind of like humiliate Indians. There's like so stereotyped, and just kind of like it's pretty messed up. It's pretty messed up, man. But in all actuality, it's like they came here to convert the Indians. In all actuality, the priests should have been listening to some of the Indians and being converted into Israel instead of the other way around. It was in all actuality these converters were in need of conversion themselves, and it's like the people they were trying to convert, they actually perverted something because it was like even though that like look they might have lost some of the like we didn't have the translation, but like look and they might have lost some of the points, the dead letter doctrine, but in custom and tradition, they had all of it in there. The show mercy. You get 2 eagle feathers for showing mercy in battle. That's a biblical custom. God's merciful. And it's like basically it. Even in our tribe, the neighboring tribe burnt one of us, and then we burnt them back. And that's what does it say in the Moses blood for blood law? If a person knocks out your tooth, you get to go to basically the council, and then he's got to stand there, and then you get to knock his tooth out. So it's like, if these people were still operating out of Moses, blood for blood, you can't call them like evil savages. They were just doing the only law that they had, like in the time of Judges. It was like for the Indians over here, and that's really how it was. That's what like chiefs were. They were like the judges. Like, oh, there's a problem between these people. Well, go talk to him and see what his advice is. There is wisdom in a multitude of counsel. Indians operated off that. They also were like, look, read Cochise. You call him a liar. That was like, ooh, buddy. No, Cochise is no liar. And it's like the truth, and especially when it comes to the things of God, the Indians almost wouldn't even talk to you about it because it's like they don't want to. It's sacred. It's holy. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have to come in the right spirit to even. I'm talking about in times of the past. Now it's way different. The doctrine's all mixed with Hindu kind of New Agey, transcendental meditation kind of shit. The Indian stuff has been, and it's even in the history of the Ojibwe people that the Jesuits infused their teachings in with the Indian teachings and kind of hijacked it or subverted it, kind of like, look, in a way like in gang signs, when you cross out the other gang's sign and then put your sign above it, that's what the Jesuits did with the Indians. So they kind of subverted them, you know what I'm saying, in a subversive, operative sort of fashion. And then once again, and it's like the reason why the Indians couldn't sell you the land neither is because, like, look, they didn't do that because it's in Leviticus 2 that you can't sell your land. God, the land that God gives you is yours unless you mess up and he takes it away. You know what I'm saying? So there was no idea of like being able how to sell the land. It's more like we occupy this here. We don't own it. We didn't create it. You know what I'm saying? It's just they fought for the right to be there, so they were there. And that's how God, exactly how God works too. So it's like, you know, there's just so many overlapping. And here's the other one that I seen. I seen this Indian guy, this picture of this Indian guy, and he had on this like necklace, dude, where it goes down his chest and it was connected to his shoulders. And I was like, whoa. I goes, that is a Levite. That's a Levite's ephod, man, I think it's called. And it's like, it's a square thing on their chest that's got a representation of all the tribes. So there's a different stone for each tribe. And I realized that it's a variation of what a Levitical priest it really wears. And it's like, look, somewhere I think it's even in Ezekiel, and it talks about them taking away all their nice garments. And it even says their bonnets. And if you look at Indians, they were known for wearing these war bonnets, which are just made out of eagle feathers. They're basically like hide and string and beads and feathers, just put together in a real kind of pimpin' fashion. And I mean, and once again, if you look at the tabernacle, if you look at the tabernacle laws and then you look at Indians, you'll see some overlap there, dude. So yeah, I think the Indians are like basically, I'm not sure if they are the prodigal son, but they are a prodigal son. And even Jesus is always talking about looking for the lost sheep. And it is like at the time, he only had so many years. Jesus knew he couldn't get here to the hidden land. So it was basically, he was dependent on the gospel to go forth and be preached by true believers, people with enough faith to proclaim what they believe in, you know what I mean? And to do what is suggested in there, and that is even to go and greet the 12 tribes scattered abroad.